Welcome into sportsbookreview.com. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And this is the College Football Playoff National Championship game presented by AT&T Preview. Alabama and Ohio State, that is right. Two of the three most talented teams in the country actually made it to the championship game. Now, before we get into this preview, go ahead and remind you, SBRpicks.com/NCAAF is your one-stop shop for all of your college football gambling needs. We have articles over there. We've got a great crew of writers that knock that out as well. And, of course, our videos right here. We're going to have a lot more videos as well coming up. So make sure that you are subscribed to the channel on YouTube. Just search out SBR Picks, or just make sure you go to SBRpicks.com/NCAAF. Very easy to do. We do have an article, multiple articles that will go along with this game. So let's dive into it. It's Monday, January the 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. Alabama opened a 7.5-point favorite. As of the time that we're recording, it is still sitting at 7.5. The total of 76 has gone down to 75. Give you, the full tale of the tape. Alabama is 12-0. They are 8-4 against the spread. They're 0-2 in their last two. Now, those numbers have gotten a little exaggerated here lately, but 0-2 against that number. Ohio State 7-0 on the season, straight up. 4-3 against the spread. They are 2-1 in their last three. They did not cover the Big Ten championship game against Northwestern, but they did, and by a long shot, cover against Clemson. They were underdogs and ended up winning by 21 points. Let's go on and give you some stats here, Chris, before we get into what we think of the actual game. Alabama, number 1 in offensive efficiency. Ohio State, number 7 in defensive efficiency. Ohio State is number 2 in offensive efficiency. Alabama is number 5 in defensive efficiency. We do have the Justin Fields injury that we can discuss. It may not matter if Alabama cannot stop the running game. Trey Sermon has been absolutely ridiculous. Ohio State, as it sits right now, number 3 in expected points added per rush on offense. Alabama is number 51 in that metric on defense. That is a bit of a mismatch. As far as sustained drives go, Alabama would have the advantage. Alabama is number 1 in the country in offensive success rate. Ohio State number 54 in that metric on defense. Ohio State number 3 in offensive success rate. Alabama is number 18 in that metric on defense. Neither team really has a talent advantage. Alabama's number 1, 93.25 player average rating. Ohio State number 3, 92.89. And the average point spread performance this season, Alabama plus 6.17. They have outperformed the spread on average. Ohio State has outperformed it by 3.21 points. The prediction tracker average, of course, that is the analytical average, has Alabama minus 4.96. Chris, before I give you some of my thoughts, go ahead and tell me what you're thinking here.
I think it's funny that the sustained drive stat, you think that is one of those scenarios where teams hold the football for a long time and go for long drives. That's just simply not the case. Alabama does not give one red hot damn about your time of possession statistic at all.
Absolutely agreed.
They just score real fast, and sometimes it's on 4 plays, and sometimes it's on a play, and so that's kind of funny that all my life I have thought of sustained drive statistics, and you think of Army, you think of teams that hold the football forever and matriculate it down the field, just very monotonous, and this is not that.
Oh,
this
agreed.
isn't close to that.
Well, but we both know that Nick Saban would love to be able to sit on a lead or something that.
Now, in Nick's perfect world, yes. He doesn't play football that way anymore because that's not how the game has gone. But, yes, if he could design a world in which this is the way, he would basically take the Patriots offense from this year and say they had 3 passing touchdowns and 2 of them were from wide receivers, and everything else was running the football.
Exactly.
That's just what he wants to do.
He would like a 14-play drive that lasts 9 minutes and just completely takes the air out of the ball and does not allow Justin Fields on the field.
That's exactly what he would like. He's not going to get that. Alabama's going to score. They're going to score a lot. They're going to score fast.
What do you think about this Justin Fields injury? Now, obviously, Ryan Day has come out. He's the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes. He's come out and said that Justin Fields will play. They didn't even tell him what they shot him up with at halftime of the ball game. But
that's a little bit of a problem. I just want to know what it is. If he has bruised ribs, there's no reason for him not to play. You can manage that with pain management, and he can be fine. If they are broken or fractured, I do think that kind of people have the right to know that, because we're getting into a point where, no, you don't want to watch this game without Justin Fields. You also don't want to see this guy break his ribs even more than they are, puncture a lung, and now not have a normal life for the rest of his time. He is very young and has a lot of life left. And this is not a day in which I think that's worth that.
I do agree.
And I'm talking about a championship. I'm talking about something nobody can take away from you. It's still not. This kid has so much more to give society and the world, even from just a football perspective outside of his life in living. That's the kind of, I just want to know the answer. Not that it's my business, not that it's whatever. I understand that in the NFL, they make you disclose these things, and in college they don't. But I do think that matters. I think if it was, here's my problem. I think if it was bruised ribs, we would know that. That's
true.
Where the cynical brain goes.
I would imagine that it is, because I don't think that they would come out this close to, well, not even this close, this far out from game time and say that he is starting, unless it was that, right?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think if they were broken ribs or fractured ribs and they were just going to shoot him up and pain manage it, they wouldn't tell a soul. They wouldn't tell a soul that they're broken.
Maybe you're right. Maybe you are right.
Because of the backlash.
All right, so we have seen 7 games from Ohio State. We have seen 12 from Alabama. Ohio State just kind of looked, good, not great, not world beaters through the first 6 games, and then they absolutely exploded against Clemson. Now, there was a lot of pregame build-up, a lot of talk, and all year long from last year's Fiesta Bowl, they have been eyeing Clemson, right? They lost 29-23 last year, and they absolutely let all of their frustration out on the Tigers. I don't know how you can – I mean, obviously it's a championship game. You can't recreate that exact thing because they had their eyes pointed at one specific goal, which was to beat Clemson. I wonder about this game. Can they produce similar to what they did against Clemson in this game?
So I'm going to go to motivation, and I'm going to go to the end of both of the semifinals, I guess is what we call them, games. Okay. Alabama beat Notre Dame, and they looked like, they were about to, go eat at their Uncle Larry's birthday party. Like, it was just like, we have to do this because this is what you have to do. But I don't really want to be here. Ohio State won, and when they beat Clemson like a drum, but they look like they just beat Clemson like a drum. They were celebrating. They were doing, carpet angels in the confetti. They had looked like this is what we came here to do. And just from that perspective right there, I'm not discrediting them. I'm not knocking them at all. That was a huge win, and it's okay to celebrate those things. They look like that was what they came to do. And Alabama looked like we have to do this so we can do the thing we want to do next week.
That's a very, very good point. I will go ahead and tell you this. The Ohio State running game and their tight ends in the passing game absolutely make them a legit threat if they can utilize them the same way. The offensive line for Ohio State absolutely smashed Clemson's defensive line. Alabama has not been able to stop the run insanely well this year, but when they have, it hasn't been against a line like Ohio State. So
let me tell you the difference is, while guys can run on Bama, your secondary is so athletic that you get up to the line, not necessarily the line of scrimmage. 4-yard runs are 4-yard runs. Okay.
Yeah.
They are not 26-yard runs. You get to the ball and you tackle the football at some point in time before they get to around 5 yards on you. You don't want to give up 5 yards a touch, but that's not how Ohio State's been running the football. They've been running the ball on people, getting 12, 15, 17 yards on these big plays, and they've been driving really quickly. I don't think they're going to have that kind of success. I think they can get a lot of first downs, and I think they're going to score a lot. Where they're going to have success, Ohio State's best chance is not necessarily to utilize the run game. It is where Alabama is weak, is where they've been weak all year, is in the safety position. You take advantage of those safeties with their big athletic wide receivers, just like Bama's going to do to Ohio State. And you take the ball off the top of the defense. You take it off just like they did against Clemson over and over and over again.
Yeah, the middle of the field.
Fields,
yeah.
Yes, in the middle of the field. Yes, where the safety is. Absolutely.
Well, and the middle linebackers, because obviously Alabama's middle linebackers cannot cover. We've seen that time after time. But
that's your two weakest spots of the field. That's where I would attack. I would not be trying to run the football. Now, after you do that 3 or 4 times, it makes magically a run game appears. All right. But I think Alabama's weakness is not on their defensive front, and it's not in their linebackers. It's in their secondary, in the safety position. You can take the top off those guys. Teams have done it. Teams have done it on them, and nobody's going to be able to do it as well as Ohio State can. Not Notre Dame. Ole Miss had they don't have the athletes that Ohio State has.
Agreed.
And they were able to do it, and they were able to do it pretty well with far lesser talent.
Well, they were able to do it with a lot of tempo. What Ole Miss did was, I mean, you could see it multiple times. You could count.
But you don't think Ohio State's going to use tempo? Because they used it against Clemson. It really gave Clemson fits, man.
I don't know that they are as fast as what Ole Miss was doing. Ole Miss was lining back up. Like, the end of the play to the snap was 7 seconds. I mean, that is absurd.
But tempo's tempo. Just because it's not 7, if it's 12, it's still pretty damn fast.
Oh, agreed.
And the defense doesn't have a chance to change guys out. I think they're going to run exactly like they ran against Clemson, with less run plays and more pass plays. That's how they beat Bama. I think that's their only shot at beating Bama. I do think they can run the ball on Bama, but if they want to run the ball 11 times for 75 yards, I just don't think they're going to find much success there. Maybe they will. I think Bama's run defense has gotten better. That Ole Miss defense, offense that played them, that they ran the ball on them better than any team has all year. Probably all year.
Yeah, it was all year. Has. Yeah, statistically, yes.
And I think after that, Bama really put the clamps on, and I say clamps. They improved greatly their run defense.
Ohio State is number 3 in stuff rate. So if Alabama wants to try and run between the tackles, that's just not going to happen.
That's not what y'all do, though.
Agreed. We do. So I say we for any of you guys that are watching that don't already watch our college football show. I'm an Alabama fan. Chris is an LSU fan. Been that way forever since we were kids. Alabama, I believe, is going to be able to throw pretty easily on this defense. If Ohio State plays fantastic rush defense, that is going to force Alabama to pass regularly, way more than they really want to, and that is why, on top of all the other stuff, I believe the over is going to be the play. Now, a lot of people, I guess just based on principle, are playing the under because it went from 76 down to about 74.5, then it bounced back up to 75. But the total has gone down. If there is a blowout, which I don't know that there will be, but if it is, it could come from Ohio State turnovers. Ohio State, Justin Fields, number 82 in the country in interception percentage. They are number 113 in quarterback sacks allowed percentage. That is really bad, like awful. So I think Fields has gotten better.
Yes.
But at the same time, we have seen a lot of interceptions. We have seen a lot of quarterback sacks, him holding on to the ball too long. I don't know that he's going to do that in this game, but if he is injured and he's thinking about it too much, that could lead to something like that. I do think it's going to be a shootout. Even if Alabama gets a lead, they're not going to be able to sit on it by running the ball. I have to take Ohio State plus the 7.5 here, and I am for sure taking the over 75.
So I like the over 75. I will take Alabama and the points. I do believe that at some point in time, it just gets one more score than the other guy. And there's just too much talent. There's just too much talent. We are just now learning about Trey Sermon. Okay.
Yeah.
We have seen the wide receivers for Ohio State, and they are really good.
Yeah. Wilson and Olave are
they are. And this is not a knock on them. Okay. Not a knock on them to say they are second best behind Devontae Smith. It's just not. But there's no wide receiver in the country of his skill, of his ability. And what Najee has done the entire season for 12 games now is just unbelievable. To say that they can stuff the run, y'all are not running the ball between guards. This is not what you're going to do. Najee gets out in space, and he's probably the most athletic, dynamic wide receiving type running back that we've seen in a long time. Yeah. In a year of college football, the last 4 to 5 years, this is what running backs have become. And he looks like he's the best of all of them so far.
Agreed. Oh, by the way, we haven't even mentioned this. We are recording this Tuesday afternoon. Jalen Waddle has been cleared by the medical staff to play on Monday night's game.
I'm assuming two things were making my pick. One, that Fields will play.
Yep.
And Fields is fine. Okay. And two, Waddle is not there.
Gotcha.
So if Waddle is there, I think I like my pick a lot better. And I don't hate the over anymore. I just don't know how you guard those guys, okay? The Big Ten has been a very good conference, a great conference. No shot at the Big Ten at all, okay? The Indiana story and Northwestern story this year, pretty incredible. But they have not played an offense the likes of this all year long.
I do agree with that. I
think their defensive numbers when this thing is over with are going to look grossly different. Now, that's not a knock on them. Everybody's defensive numbers look gross after playing Alabama. I also think Ohio State's going to score. I think these two teams are as alike as two teams can be in the country.
I do agree with that 100%. So you like Alabama minus the 7.5. I like Ohio State plus the 7.5 because I do think they'll be able to score enough to keep it close. And we both like the over.
Yeah. So you talked about one thing that Alabama doesn't do is turn the football over. Yep. And one thing Ohio State has done is turn the football over. All you need is one extra possession, one way or the other. And you've now flipped it because I don't think either one of these teams are going to punt a lot. I just don't. What Ohio State's defense did to Clemson was pretty shocking and baffling. I don't think they're going to be able to do that to Alabama.
You may be right about that, and now, we do have to wonder about how much that was Clemson's offensive coordinator being out of the game.
Oh no, 100%. Dabo Swinney calling the plays a whole lot different than a professional play caller calling his plays. I've made it crystal clear my thoughts on Dabo Swinney's ability to scheme and to coach, not to recruit, not to put together a staff, not the CEO, but to scheme and to coach. This guy is not very good at that, and we saw last week, man. He took the best player in college football and he shut him down. How do you shut down Trevor Lawrence? You let Dabo Swinney call his plays. That's how you shut him down.
And honestly, like Trevor's numbers were good, but they were not able to get the ball into the end zone. The first two drives that Clemson scored 2 touchdowns on, those were scripted plays by Tony Elliott.
They were scripted plays by the OC that wasn't there.
And then they managed to score 14 the rest of the way.
Let me ask you a question. So I want to bring this up.
Okay.
Is there any world in which Steve Sarkisian is focusing on Texas and not focusing on this game, and Alabama's offense comes out looking a little flat?
I doubt it because you never know. So my dad taught me this forever ago. In 2011, or after the 2011 season, we went to the national championship game because you never know when you were going to get that opportunity again. Now, Alabama's had multiple since then, but if you are Sark, you have not really gotten to get to one of these as a college head coach, right? He screwed it up in the first game, or not the first game, but his first chance against Clemson when he got that job a week before the championship game. A week before,
because they didn't want Lane to do it for this very reason. Lane took a head coaching job, and Saban said, get out. Yeah. Get out. You're focusing on your other job and not this job. Get out.
I believe that Sark is built a little differently. I think championships mean something. And
I think they do too. I want both teams to be at their best. I would like that clear. I want Fields to play in this game, but I want him to be healthy enough to play and not kill himself later. I want Sark to be here, and I want Sark to do a good job, even though I don't like Sark and I don't like Alabama. I don't want to see a game won or lost because the other team wasn't at their best. But that's the question mark. I got more question mark about that than I do about Fields. Yeah. Is because I do think Sark, we have seen, he's given us reason to see that when he can't balance too many things at one time.
I will say this.
Screwing up one of them.
Let's talk about this. He was just hired, on Saturday, right? Had he been hired middle of December, and he's worried about recruiting classes, he's worried about staffs, he's worried about all this kind of stuff, he doesn't have to do anything right now. So I think that also helps.
Yes. Okay. They're probably right on that. I'm just saying that's a variable that if Alabama's offense comes out and looks flat, it's not because Mac Jones just forgot how to play football. It's not because the stage was too big for Devontae Smith. And it's not because Ohio State's defense is just too overbearing. Okay. They're good. They're not elite. There are no elite defenses this year. And it's just going to be one of those things that I think Sark just jacked it up.
It's very possible.
Now, I can't see that world happening, by the way. I can't imagine it happening, but I think it's worth talking about. This guy is competing for a national championship for Alabama right now, and he's not going to be there next year. What does this ring really mean to him?
It still helps you recruit a little bit. I'll say that. It doesn't help you recruit if you go in and lose this game and then go over to Texas and say, well, I played for a championship or I coached for one. But if you got the ring, that's a different story. So we shall see. I think that's going to wrap it up for this. You like Alabama minus 7.5. I like Ohio State plus 7.5. We both like the over 75. We don't believe either defense will be able to slow down these track meet kind of offenses down in Miami. So yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. I cannot wait for it.
I do think it's going to be a very exciting football game.
Oh, yes.
This will not be a blowout either way. No chance.
I tend to agree with you. All right, that is going to wrap it up. Head over to sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. There is a link in the description for the article that pertains specifically to this matchup. So go ahead and click that. Check it out. Make sure you are subscribed. This is the last college football game. And there is no offseason in college football. This thing just keeps on rolling, and we will be here. We're going to have a lot more content for you leading into next season. Obviously, futures have started already. The Heisman Trophy, we are recording on Tuesday afternoon. The Heisman Trophy is tonight. They've already got Heisman odds for next year. So lots to discuss, lots to break down. We'll have futures odds for the national championship leading into next season as soon as this game is over. So lots to discuss. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you like this video, and jump in the comments. We want to hear from you, what you like about the show, what you don't, who you think is going to win, what side you're on, if you like the over or the under, whatever you like about this game. We would love to hear from you. So jump in those comments, make sure you're subscribed, and share the show out. For SportsbookReview.com, I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And we will see you next time.